You wake up before sunrise because something is moving outside the darkness beyond the fire. You cannot see it yet. You can only hear it, a crack of a branch, a low growl. The sound is enough to make your heart race. For most of human history, this was not a rare emergency. It was a normal part of life. Today, most people worry about deadlines, traffic, or notifications. Your ancestors worried about becoming food. For roughly 300,000 years, humans shared landscapes with predators that could outrun them, overpower them, and kill them with a single mistake. Lions, hyenas, leopards. Saber-toothed cats in earlier eras. Giant bears, packs of wolves. How did such a physically vulnerable species survive? At first glance, the answer seems impossible. Humans do not have claws. Humans do not have thick fur. Humans cannot sprint as fast as most predators. A leopard can climb better. A wolf can smell better. A bear is stronger than almost any animal your ancestors would ever encounter. So why are humans still here while many of those predators are gone? The answer begins with a strange realization. Your ancestors were never trying to become stronger than predators. They were trying to become smarter than them. Evidence for this strategy appears throughout archaeology. At sites across Africa and Eurasia, researchers have found repeated signs of coordinated hunting, shared shelters, controlled fire, and increasingly sophisticated tools. None of these discoveries tell the story of a lone hero fighting a beast. They tell the story of groups working together. One important clue comes from the work of archaeologist Richard Wrangham, who argued that controlled fire transformed human survival. Fire was warmth. Fire was light. But it was also something predators feared. A campfire extended human influence beyond the limits of the body. Suddenly, the darkness belonged a little less to lions and a little more to people. Imagine a night on an African savanna. The sky is black except for a ring of orange flames. Beyond the light, eyes reflect in the darkness. Hyenas circle. They are curious. They are hungry. But they hesitate. The group remains close together. Children stay near adults. Spears rest beside sleeping bodies. Nobody is invincible. Yet together they become far more dangerous than any individual human could ever be alone. This may have been the first great defensive technology. Not a weapon, a community. Anthropologist Polly Weissner spent decades studying hunter-gatherer societies and found that social relationships were often essential for survival. A lone person faced enormous risks. A connected person had allies, information, and support. The same principle likely protected ancient humans from predators. More eyes meant earlier warnings. More people meant stronger defenses. More experience meant fewer fatal mistakes. Consider what happens when a lion approaches a herd of animals. Predators often target isolated individuals. Ancient humans understood this pattern long before it was written down. Staying together was not merely social, it was strategic. Then there were the weapons. Many people imagine prehistoric weapons as crude sticks and rocks. Some certainly were. But over thousands of generations, human tools became remarkably effective. A sharpened wooden spear dramatically changes an encounter. A group of humans holding several spears becomes something many predators would prefer to avoid. Evidence from sites such as Schöningen in Germany reveals wooden spears around 300,000 years old. These were not random branches. They were carefully crafted hunting tools balanced for throwing and thrusting. Their existence suggests planning, skill, and repeated practice. In plain English, your ancestors were engineers long before anyone used that word. Predators learned lessons too. Animals constantly evaluate risk. A predator does not simply ask whether it can win. It asks whether the reward is worth the danger. Even a successful hunt can become a disaster if the predator suffers a serious injury. A broken leg can mean starvation. A damaged jaw can mean death. Humans carrying weapons change that calculation. Imagine a leopard observing a group beside a fire. The leopard sees upright figures holding long objects. It remembers previous encounters. Perhaps another predator was injured. Perhaps a hunt failed. The easiest meal is rarely the most dangerous one. Often, the predator moves on. This idea appears again and again in nature. Survival is not always about defeating threats. Sometimes it is about convincing threats to look elsewhere. Another powerful defense was knowledge. Your ancestors studied animal behavior because their lives depended on it. They knew where predators hunted. They knew which sounds signaled danger. They recognized tracks pressed into mud. They understood fresh scat, broken vegetation, and alarm calls from birds. Modern researchers studying hunter-gatherer groups repeatedly find astonishing environmental awareness. James Sussman documented how deeply people understood the landscapes around them. Information was survival. Knowing what was nearby could mean the difference between returning home or disappearing forever. Imagine walking through tall grass. To an untrained observer, it looks empty. To an experienced hunter-gatherer, it becomes a living map. A bent stalk suggests movement. A footprint reveals direction. A silence among birds signals trouble. The landscape speaks. Your ancestors learned how to listen. Then there was shelter. Many people imagine caves as primitive homes. Sometimes they were, sometimes they were not. Yet certain locations provided valuable protection. Elevated terrain offered visibility. Narrow entrances were easier to defend. Natural barriers reduced surprise attacks. The famous Chauvet Cave in France and many other archaeological sites demonstrate that humans repeatedly returned to locations offering safety and resources. A good shelter was not chosen randomly. It was selected because it improved the odds of survival. Still, perhaps the most surprising defensive strategy was something humans did not have: speed. At least, not the kind most people imagine. Humans are mediocre sprinters compared to many predators. But humans are exceptional endurance runners. Researchers such as Daniel Lieberman have explored how the human body evolved traits that support long-distance movement. Sweating, efficient walking, and endurance running allowed humans to travel enormous distances. Why does this matter? Because mobility creates options. If predators dominate one area, humans can relocate. If resources disappear, humans can follow new opportunities. If danger becomes overwhelming, people can leave. Many animals are tied closely to specific ecological niches. Humans became adaptable explorers. This adaptability may have been the greatest defense of all. Consider another remarkable archaeological site, Blombos Cave in South Africa. Evidence found there suggests symbolic thinking and advanced behavior tens of thousands of years ago. These discoveries remind us that your ancestors were not merely reacting to threats. They were planning for the future. They imagined possibilities. They shared knowledge across generations. A lion can learn from experience. Humans can learn from experience and then teach grandchildren what they learned. That difference changes everything. One generation discovers a safer campsite. The next generation remembers it. One hunter learns how predators stalk prey near a river. Children hear the story. Knowledge accumulates. Survival becomes cultural rather than purely biological. This creates a fascinating twist. Most people assume ancient humans survived because they became better fighters. In reality, they survived because they became better information processors. Fire mattered. Spears mattered. Groups mattered. But all of those advantages depended on learning, memory, communication, and cooperation. The human brain became a defensive weapon, unlike anything nature had seen before. Predators continued to be dangerous. People still died. Archaeological evidence shows injuries, trauma, and hardships throughout prehistory. Ancient life was not safe. It was not easy. Yet over time, humans expanded into environments containing wolves, lions, bears, big cats, and countless other threats. They did not accomplish this through physical dominance alone. They accomplished it through collective intelligence. Every campfire conversation mattered. Every warning mattered. Every lesson passed from elder to child mattered. Tiny pieces of information accumulated across thousands of generations until humans possessed something more powerful than claws: shared knowledge. The strange thing is that this ancient strategy still shapes your life today. You probably do not sleep beside a spear. You probably do not scan the horizon for lions. Yet, your survival still depends on information gathered by other people. Doctors share medical knowledge. Engineers design safer buildings. Meteorologists warn about storms. Entire societies function because information travels from one mind to another. The system protecting you today is far more sophisticated than an ancient campfire circle, but it is built on the same foundation. No individual knows everything. Groups know more. Your ancestors discovered this lesson while facing some of the deadliest predators on Earth. Alone, a human was vulnerable. Together, humans became something entirely different. A species capable of transforming fear into strategy, strategy into culture, and culture into survival. So when you imagine a prehistoric night and hear something moving beyond the firelight, remember that the story is not really about the predator waiting in the darkness. It is about the people gathered around the fire. Because the greatest defense your ancestors ever created was never a spear, a cave, or even a flame. It was each other. And that is why the sound in the darkness no longer controls the future. Your ankh.